Years ago, decades actually, I bought a used Lightning P38. And it was a little too small for me, so I sold it. And I thought, well, the next time I'll make sure I get the correct size. I haven't got another P38 since then, but luckily I was able to get hold of this e-Lightning, as they call it, to review. Now, it's more closely connected to the Lightning Phantom rather than the P38, but they do share some attributes, such as being fun bikes to ride and comfortable. Anyway, I've been riding it whenever the weather cooperates. It's been pretty wet, but it's starting to dry up. And so, what did I think about this new bike? So, now, many of you that have already read my reviews and actually listened to me, that I don't like to just talk about what was good about something. I want to also find something that might have been bad. And that probably some of the bad things are just more quibbly stuff. I sometimes think that if I don't say something is bad, that people are going to say, "Well, what's he covering up here?" So anyway, let's talk about the bad parts first. Now, the first bad part, is the weight of the bike. I mean, when you look and see how it's made, that it's got an electric motor, the rear hub, and a battery, and a rear rack that I told them I really needed. Um, yeah, it comes out to be about 48 pounds. So for some of us, that's pretty heavy. And if you're going to be getting it in and out of the back of an SUV like I do, um, some people might say, "Oh my God, I need a ramp or just a rear rack or something like that." So it's not a horrible weight, and I'm getting pretty good about getting in and out of my car. So it's like I said, it's not quite just a senseless little quibble, but it's not real bad either. So I've I've had several Subarus, and now I've got uh, a Hyundai Tucson, and putting it in and out of that basically just involves I gotta hold on to the back of the seat with one hand, and then I grab up near the front of the bike up by the front wheel with my left hand, raise that front wheel up, and once it clears the back of the, the opening into the my car, I have it tilted so that the front wheel is going to sort of roll along the side of the car on the inside. And as long as I sort of jiggle it in, it fits in just fine. So obviously, some cars are going to be too small, but I found that it worked in both the Subaru Outback, the Subaru Forester, and now with the Hyundai Tucson. Anyway, now the other thing that I hadn't mentioned to anybody until lately that I consider a bad thing um, is the kickstand. The kickstand is I'd say not quite long enough. I mean, when you put that bike up on that kickstand, it's only a one-sided kickstand, not two-sided. It's not a two-prong kickstand. Um, it's leaning over at such an angle that if you're on a slope of something like a driveway or something, the bike might fall over. So I advise people if they've got a situation like that, check with the dealer, go to Walmart, go anywhere, and see if you can find a longer, adjustable, possibly kickstand. And if you don't find one, if you're out on the road somewhere and you want to pull off to the side and you don't have anything that you can lean the bike against, look around for a rock, maybe that's a couple inches wide and maybe an inch thick, and that'll probably get the height up enough so that you'll feel a whole lot better. Now, personally, if I'm not riding where there's some pretty good rocks or something to use, I bring along a couple of metal pop cans that I squash with my feet, and just using two of them gives me enough height adjustment that I feel a whole lot better about it. And you know, uh, I still rather have a better kickstand, but if I don't have a better kickstand, yeah, I'll just bring along a couple of squashed cans. So, see, those are my two quibbles right there. The weight and the kickstand needs to be longer. So now let's talk about some of the good parts about this bike. Now it's got 5 levels of assist and a throttle. I've been around several electric assisted bikes and trikes and stuff. that will have, levels of assist and everything, but not a throttle. This was the first time I actually got a chance to try out a throttle. And essentially, what that means is that you don't have to pedal. With the throttle, there's a up on the right hand grip, I guess you call it. You just turn it and it accelerates, and you don't have to pedal. Now, I've tried it on like real steep slopes or even not so steep. It doesn't real do a good job on that. So, I mean, the throttle's great if you're on flat ground and you just want to get rolling and get your feet up, and then you start pedaling. And if you're in a hurry to get across an intersection or something, just twist that throttle and bingo, you start rolling across. So I kind of like that, even though most of the time I don't even use it. Some of the things that adjust or alter the battery life is the levels of assist, how much you weigh, the terrain, and so on. So I tend to stay in the middle assist levels, like 2 or 3, and you can go pretty good. If it's flat terrain, I've been able to hit anywhere from, well, probably 40, 50 miles. But if you've got like at level 1, you might hit even 95 miles. So it depends on what you set it at and whether you're going to be going up and down a bunch of hills. So I tend to vary it around. I don't like to just use the highest assist level, even though that can be addictive. But the lower the setting, the more effort you're going to put into it, and the higher the setting, the less. Now, some people have asked me, they may have read somewhere that this pedal assist is a little different from what they're used to. This is what they call torque sensing, whereas the others are more dependent on the RPM. So, depending on how rapidly you're pedaling, that's how much assist it will give you. Now, if it turns out you're not pedaling very hard at all, you don't get much assist. It just says, you don't need it. And on the little screen, on the little monitor, what do you want to call it, on your handlebars, you can see just how much assistance it's giving you, along with how much battery life is left. But if you really start pushing it hard, you can see that it gives you more and more assist, which seems more natural. So, I've used both, and I like them both. You know, uh, just like I sometimes ride on 2 wheels, sometimes on 3 wheels. So um, you may prefer the torque assist, you may prefer the RPM assist. So that's up to you, but I like both. Now, some other aspects of this e-lightning, it handles nice. I mean, like I said, I've only owned one P38 quite a while ago, and I really liked it, but it just wasn't quite the right size. And I was wondering how would this handle, and it handles fine. I mean, yeah, if you're going really slow and trying to do a really sharp turn, be careful. Um, but it's still nice. I get better at it every time I ride on it. So it's nice. Now, the comfort level, along with the, how do you feel when you're turning and so on, the seat is nice. If you're going over rumble strips and things like that, you're going to think, gee, I wish it had suspension. But on fairly decent roads, it's fine. I mean, like I've told a few, I'll take it out for a century ride. I have a good time on it. So it doesn't have suspension, added shocks or anything like that, but it still does a good job. It's a comfortable bike. Now, two other things that are nice besides the throttle. Well, I've already mentioned that, but the hydraulic disc brakes, they're really smooth and they stop you really good. I imagine other people that have had hydraulic brakes would say, "Oh yeah, we knew that." So yeah, I mean, it does mention, that, or it has been mentioned by some that if you do jam on them hard, it'll really lock those tires up. So be careful. But they're smooth. They stop you quickly. I like them. You've already heard my quibbles. You've heard what I do like about this thing. So yeah, I do like this bike. I'm I tend to go back and forth between trikes and bikes, and with and without e assist. I like them. Um, I do like the torque assist. It has a thumb shifter for its 9 speeds, and the display shows you what level you're at, how much battery you got left, and so on. So it tells you all that you need to know at that time. So I kind of like varying the levels. Sometimes just moseying along and not really hurting yourself, but you look down and you're doing 15, 16, you're thinking, this is really nice. So I kind of like it. So basically, pros and cons, speed and comfort and brakes, I really like. The cons, yeah, 48 pounds. And yeah, we've already mentioned the kickstand. We don't need to get into that. And then I haven't mentioned the details, but I will now. Seat height 22 inches, length is 70 inches, width is 25. The gearing is 40 to 127 gear inches, and the weight without the battery is 43 pounds. This battery knocks it up to at least 48, and the price is listed as $38.90. Now, $3,890. I know for some people they think, well, that's a lot, but I've seen a lot more expensive, and you really get quite a lot with this. And you do have the options of getting the rear rack if you want or not. And there's probably some other options that you might want to look at. And, if you go to my review out on Bent Rider Online, you'll see that to get more information, you go to lightningbike.com. Oh, and and you can find out there, any more details you might need to know. Now, one thing that's interesting and might be a benefit to you, I mentioned the price being $38.90. Well, here's a special deal for you. This bike that I have here is a review bike. I wish they'd let me keep it forever, but they won't. But the owner of the company does want to sell it. But if you were to buy this review bike, which is in great shape, I haven't ridden it that far. You could have it for only $3,000, so you could save almost $900 by buying this review bike. So you can get in touch with me at Larry@BentonRiderOnline.com. I live in the greater Cincinnati area. It'd be a whole lot easier to come and pick it up rather than to have it shipped. If you have any questions, send me an email, contact Laidback Bike Report, whatever, and we'll put you on a really nice two-wheeler e-assisted bike.